Good afternoon. My name is Aishwarya Nair, and I'm a student reporter, and I'm here with Dr. Gilbert Probst, who is one of the managing directors for the World Economic Forum. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to us?
Well, you just did. So I'm as a managing director at the forum. I take care of all academic affairs and what we call the leadership office. The academic affairs is the relationships with academia, with most of the universities. The leadership part is that I'm the Dean of the Global Leadership Fellows. This is a yearly 25 to 30 fellows we hire for 3 years, and they take important jobs in our organization, responsible for regional affairs, responsible for an industry or for one of the initiatives. But I also do the leadership development of the directors.
Okay. You've been very involved in organizing the Open Forum, which runs parallel to the annual general meeting. So could you give us a brief history of how the forum evolved?
Well, the Open Forum has actually, I think, two origins. One clearly is, and the most popular, it is a reaction, of course, to demonstrations at the beginning of 2000, and where the idea came up how to give more insights into what are the topics that we deal with at the annual meeting, but also to share not only the topics, but also share the top leaders that come to Davos with the public, mostly of Davos, the region, if you want Switzerland, or people who are willing to come. So that is one part, but it wasn't a reaction to say there are demonstrations, there are NGOs, or there's civil society not involved enough, and how to get them more involved. And it was actually a work with many of these organizations when we started it. And so it is it was also a moment of integration, and it was started with at that time 6 or 7 organizations. So created together the Swiss Protestant churches, so the Federation, but there were other organizations like the WWF, Amnesty, and many others who contributed. Havelar was one who contributed to the creation. What is the development? It was immediately successful because it was really a sharing of knowledge, and I'm sorry to say so, but leaders with the public. And year after year we had more participants and more sessions, because at the beginning I think they started with just a couple or 3, 4 sessions. But what also happened is that literally all, or step-by-step, organizations stepped down from this being the organizers with us, because being an organizer means you are not on the panel, and they wanted to be part of the discussion. What I see as a very valid point. So at the end, it was done for a couple of years by the Open Forum, or by the World Economic Forum, and by the Confederation of Protestant Churches. And when I took over 3 years ago, I said I felt that it was wrong that it is the Protestant churches alone and the World Economic Forum. And I can give you the reason. The reason is that I felt, why not others? Why not just us? And if they are partners, why is it then the Protestant church and not the Catholic church? Not because I'm Catholic. Or why is it not other religions? And to avoid this, we started to say we organize it as the World Economic Forum, so we are the ones who, of course, know the infrastructure and do all these things, but we created an advisory council. And I actually went back almost to the origins, and by creating an advisory council, the organizations agreed to be part of, because when you're an advisory council, it's not being the organizer, but you have an impact, you have an influence on the choice of the topics. And that's how come we started with the International Committee of the Red Cross, with, of course, the Federation of Swiss Protestant Churches. We have members of the Parliament. We have the Association of the Bankers. So, if you want the business side, we have from the UNESCO and from the UN people that are involved, or here a professor who leads actually a very important group of anti-corruption. So that is in short what it is. Today, what we do, we start in June, very early on. That's probably your next question, how we come to the themes or how we choose the topics. We start in June to collect ideas from the young people. We ask the fellows, we ask the shapers, we ask the organizations, so from the council. And then we play back to the council members to say what are your preferred choices, and that's how we then bring it down from, it was this year 30 to at the end 7 sessions.
Okay. Great. One question I have is, you mentioned that you have grown an advisory council. Now, how do you balance all the various interests of the members on the council in a way that they're all represented without anyone feeling like they've been left?
Well, I don't think that. Yeah, well, we balance it by that I work with my team, and Salima, who is responsible here for the organization and for the whole planning and setting up the agenda. I mean, she really keeps in touch. She starts early to say, think about the topics, send me topics, come up with ideas, and in general, they react on this. They come up with proposals, some more than others, but I think that's a choice too. I mean, some come, of course, with one topic or two. Others come with 6, 7, 8. So they have a whole. They do actually a lot of brainstorming. I know the president of the Federation of the Swiss Protestant Churches told me that they really will brainstorm, and then we went to Bern to meet them. And they presented the different topics, and at the end, it's true, we only took one, but it is a real process. Now it is even growing, because you know that with the twittering and we actually involve much more also the public. And already this year we had people who literally handed in proposals. There is a foundation in Germany, very engaged. They come every year here with 15, 20 people, and they have sent us proposals. Young people who went on the new website have sent proposals, and it helps us to bring this up and put it on the table.
Okay. So, I mean, just following off that, my next question would be, we've attended some of the sessions that have been going on now. Obviously, space is limited, so we only have 300 people who can physically be present. And generally, it's people from the nearby area. So how do you actually reach out to the global public? And I know you mentioned a bit of getting proposals from them, but how far can you go to reach out to them?
Well, it's true. It's very much, let's say, the population of Davos, the population of the canton. As you saw, if you attended some of the sessions, people coming from Zurich and further in Switzerland or southern Germany, so they literally take a drive of 2-3 hours to come to the sessions. This is to come physically. I mean, what is new now is it is now televised directly, so it becomes much more accessible, of course, in this way. Now, you said only 300. That is true, but this is a huge session. You know that at the annual meeting, your 2,500 participants. I mean, there are not many sessions that come to 300 people, so that's already excellent. It's not always the same topic, of course. If you have a choice of topics, if you think, we talked about unemployment and unemployable, we talk about the NGOs, we talk about obesity, we have leadership issues and music. I mean, people do not necessarily come to all of these, so there's already a choice. And in general, 300 is actually a pretty good room. So we have 250 to 300, but there are topics where suddenly it goes over, and that's why we have created an overflow. I think now being televised, that helps. So I really hope to kind of like manage this. But we thought a lot about this last year, if we should find a bigger room, what is very difficult. And the only solution we have would be so far away from the village that then we lose people that can't easily have access over the lunch break or in the evening.
Okay. Right. Well, a question that I think everyone has been asking about Davos this year is, the theme is resilient dynamism. What exactly does this mean?
Well, I think it wants to show that there's a time of persisting economic risks and fears. There's a lot of geopolitical tension. There is also, I think, a growing resignation that kind of like makes people feel uncomfortable, where, you know, there's much more intensity and then much more often actually also negative news. And this is a challenge that we want to see that, you know, that there is opportunity, that we have to keep strategically agile, that we should maybe rethink what are our values and where are we and where do we have to go, but also see the opportunities to take action. And I think this is this balancing that that a little bit for me comes out of the resilient dynamism. And I think life is like this. You always have to balance the extremes. And here's the extreme from how can I protect what we have and how can I keep what we have done so far? How can we keep and maintain the values we have? And on the other hand, where do we have to let go and be dynamic and get new and seize new opportunities and go new ways? And kind of like say, here's the values that are important and we should to keep them, but here are the structures that have to change. And this gives you keeping the values, for instance, that helps you to feel comfortable, stable, to have something stable. And having new strategies, going into new structures is something that, of course, is a change that nobody likes to go, because change is always a difficult process.
I think that is one of the better answers I've heard. The last question I have for you is, you know, one of the sessions that you're having is, you're taking lessons from jazz on how to leave space for improvisation. So this is a bit of more of a personal question. How do you improvise in your own life, and how does that translate into decisions that you might take in your business life?
Well, I think that I have to improvise all the time. I'm still a professor, and you know that you prepare a class, and on the other hand, I never work with slides, and I try to improvise, or in the sense when to really have a lot of interaction with the students. So I'm constantly improvising, and maybe more than I actually like to, because I'm very much a person who thinks, I'm a management professor, so I really think things should be planned and structured, and I think about my objectives and structures and plans. But then I go into classes, I meet with my team, and things don't go that way, and I improvise all the time. And in a way, I love to improvise. I think, again, this is a question of balancing, and I think we need both. Because if you are well prepared, if you think about the objectives, if you have a plan, you feel comfortable. And in a way, you go more or less in that direction. But life is not like this, and you have to improvise all the time. So I try to balance this, and I feel quite comfortable with it.
You're prepared for all odds and eventualities that way?
Yes, I worry all the time. So I really worry all the time and overthink what could happen and what would I do if. And so I play lots of scenarios through. That's one of my problems that keeps me awake quite a lot.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And this was Student Reporter.
Thank you.